Welcome everyone, my name is Carl Azus, and today's edition of CNN 10 starts with a report about oil, aka black gold, Texas tea. At least that's what it's been called in the past. Currently, demand for it and the price of it have fallen to the basement. Lower oil prices can translate to lower gasoline prices, and those are being seen around the United States and beyond. But crude oil is known as the mother of all commodities because it's used in so many other products, from plastic to petroleum to paint, and it's necessary for the machines that help make those products. Rising crude oil prices mean that global demand is increasing, and that can indicate the global economy is growing. But the price of oil, which is sold by the barrel, has fallen dramatically because of the coronavirus pandemic. And it made headlines in history this week because at one point, U.S. stock market oil prices were negative. On Monday afternoon, oil was at minus $37.63 per barrel. What this meant was that there was so much supply in the oil market that the world was running out of places to store it, and oil producers were essentially paying people to take their oil barrels. It's the first time that's happened since oil futures started trading in the U.S. stock market in 1983. Crude prices did turn positive again yesterday, though they were still incredibly low. No one knows how long they'll stay so low. And that's a concern, especially for American oil companies, because they can't make money. Industry analysts say several hundred oil companies will file for bankruptcy by the end of next year if prices don't climb back up. Countries outside the U.S. that export huge amounts of crude oil have agreed to reduce their production of it to try to stabilize prices, but that won't happen until next month.
2020 has not been a good year for the oil industry. Because of the global coronavirus pandemic, commerce is at a standstill. Billions of commuters are staying home, and airlines are essentially paralyzed. Demand for oil is in freefall. Before the outbreak, the world was consuming around 100 million barrels a day of oil. It is estimated that demand will drop by 12 million barrels a day in the first quarter of 2020. To put that into perspective, during the 2008 financial crisis, demand dropped close to 5 million barrels a day. If that weren't enough, a price war between Russia and Saudi Arabia hurt the oil market even further. As demand dropped due to the virus, the 13 member states of OPEC, which account for almost 80% of global oil reserves, agreed to cut production to keep prices stable. Russia, now part of a broader alliance called OPEC Plus, initially refused to cut production deeper and for longer. Saudi Arabia reacted by ramping up its output, kicking off a price war. Oil prices plummeted and dragged down global stock markets with them. In April, after Donald Trump intervened, Russia and Saudi Arabia called off their brutal price war. To reduce the mushrooming global oil surplus, OPEC Plus agreed to cut production by over 2 billion barrels until the end of 2020. It remains to be seen whether the decision is too little, too late. None of this is good for American oil producers. Under the Trump presidency, the U.S. oil market has boomed, taking advantage of production curbs by OPEC+. In 2019, the U.S. became the top producer of oil, extracting nearly 13 million barrels a day after a huge shale boom. Dozens of small and mid-sized U.S. oil companies are now facing bankruptcy. The end isn't in sight. When the world comes back online after the coronavirus, demand is likely to surge, causing further volatility. We just don't know when or how strong the recovery will be.
10-second trivia. Which of these animals has the longest gestation period? Wombat, bullfrog, chipmunk, or sea turtle? Baby sea turtles hatch from their eggs after about 60 days, giving them the longest gestation period on this list. The next destination in our series on virtual vacations is a city whose name means the victorious. Cairo, the capital of Egypt, is home to almost 21 million people. It's also near the Great Pyramid, the only one of the ancient world's 7 wonders that still exists. But we're staying inside the capital today for a walking tour that helps us and the photographers who join in get a clear picture of the ancient city.
Cairo has stood on the banks of the Nile for over 2,000 years. Imposing, magnificent. This sprawling home to around 20 million people is a hive of activity. For local architect turned photographer Karim El Haywan, there's beauty in these alleyways. And with every walk, the city reveals unexpected treasures.
I'm very, very passionate about photography. Cairo and all the layers that you have to unveil gradually. In itself, this is a journey. For a local like me living here, this is a pursuit. This is a photographer's or artist's haven in terms of understanding and observing.
It's Saturday, and Karim is on his way to lead a group of intrepid photographers on a journey through downtown Cairo.
I started exploring the streets every Saturday as some sort of practice, and then some friends started joining me. And it reached out to an international crowd. We created a hashtag on Instagram, and everyone started pooling in their photographs.
Connecting through social media, a growing number of locals and tourists now join Karim on his walks. There are memories of Cairo's rich past on every corner. To the untrained eye, this is just an abandoned family home dating back to the 1800s. To Karim and his friends, it's intricate and ornate wooden facade, artwork.
It makes an interesting picture because of the amount of perspectives. They are basically endless, the detail.
Karim's Cairo Saturday walks delve into the lives of everyday Egyptians, finding beauty in the mundane.
You get to see the city in a whole new light. You get to pause. You get to go to different areas of the city that you normally wouldn't go to. So it's a whole different experience than what you would get in your day-to-day living in Cairo.
An emergency room doctor named Jason Barnes has this sweet treehouse in his backyard in Texas, so he moved into it. His wife suggested this, but it's not because she's mad at him. They're concerned about his family's potential exposure to COVID-19. The doctor's new digs has air conditioning, a bed, a cooler with a jar of pickles if he gets hungry, and it allows him to keep his family safe while still staying close to home. It might not be built on rock, but it's as strong as oak, and you can't sway him from it. Now, some people say tree houses are for the birds, but those who dog it are barking up the wrong tree. If he puts down roots there and gets all sappy about it, he may never want to leave. It's terrible. Don't blame me for our puns. Blame our viewers, like those at Mount Vernon High School in Mount Vernon, Indiana, for putting up with them. You guys are awesome, by the way, for doing that. I'm Carl Azus for CNN.